Good morning, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Comic Book Geezers. We got a special show for you today by request. Detective Comics featuring Batman. On the other end of the Zoom, we've got my fellow geezer, Kirk. Good morning, my friend. How are you today?
Good morning. Doing okay. How you doing, my friend?
Doing good. Doing good. It's raining again. It's like bring up the Supertramp song. It seems like it's always raining here in New York these days. In the spring, we're all home at lockdown. And it's just cold and rainy, and I think the spring is never coming. But you deal with it, right? So anyway, like I said, by request, we've had some folks ask for us to show some classic and newer issues of Detective Comics, a series that's been around since 1937. And Batman actually was first introduced in issue number 27. So
27.
this is a book kind of like Action Comics, which a lot of history, introduced two of the most iconic superhero characters of all time in Batman and Superman. And the Detective Comics series actually ran nonstop through, I think, 2011. And then they did the reboot, the New 52 reboot, and now it's basically continuing on from there. So a lot of stuff. Kirk's got some older issues he wants to show. I've got some newer stuff. So we'll start with the older first, and then we'll get to the newer, and then we'll wrap it up. So I turn it over to Kirk. Take it
All
away.
right. Yeah, Pete talked to me about doing this, so I just grabbed a stack of stuff. So we're going to kind of look through because I didn't even really look at what was in the stack. The first one on the top here is Detective Comics 442. This is one of those 100-page spectaculars. Let me try to back that up a little bit. You see, these were big during the early to mid 70s. I love these books. I'm a big fan. I collect all these old 100-page spectaculars. Walmart is actually redoing this format now with newer stories. So if you're
Really
shopping at Walmart and you look over, there's like an area where usually they keep like cards and stuff. You can get a couple of these. They're like $10 now. Back then they were only 60 cents. Yeah, but they also have the Manhunter, who I'm a big fan of the original Manhunter. So
yeah, I agree with you. Yep.
So very cool. That ran that whole original story run, and even the final part there where Batman teamed up with the Manhunter. Went through those.
So I noticed at the bottom of those two you showed, it says also featuring and all these other characters. So here we got Robin, the Spectre, Manhunter, Creeper, and Green Lantern. So are those separate stories, or are they just they pop in and guest star in the
No,
books?
these were you got 100 pages of stories. So what they did was they usually gave you one or two new stories. So you get the Batman story and the Manhunter story. And then you get Golden Age stories or reprint stories, like, the Creeper was a little bit more. He was a 60s character. But you got, like, Golden Age stories and stuff. So it was you got a lot of bang for your buck for 60 cents back then. So it wasn't a bad
definitely
deal.
pretty good. That's pretty good.
And we go back, and now you got some of the old single, this is back to the regular size. And usually what they were doing, too, they did backup stories back then. This one, you can see Hawkman up in the corner there.
Yep.
You got him. As I said, there was a lot of mixing back then at this period, too, with like horror with Batman. I think that's a spook with him. And, yeah, an elongated man who if you watch the Flash show, he's in there now.
Oh, yeah. One of the things I always liked about Detective Comics, which was different than the various other Batman issues, whether they be the older ones or the newer ones, is it's called Detective Comics for a reason, because they really hone in on the detective aspect of Bruce Wayne / Batman, the character, who really was at his core a detective, and they really changed the kind of theme and feel of the book as opposed to a normal Batman book, which was more about finding the villains and superhero. Here you really go in depth into how he tries to solve all these various crimes and things that are going on, and I find that fascinating. I think because it's a different and very important part of the Batman Bruce Wayne character.
I agree, because I think that's one of the things that, like, they have this thing now, especially that, like, he's the ultimate fighter, he does all this, but he's a detective, and that part of the story seems to get downplayed a lot, which I agree. I think it's one of the best parts. Here's another one, crazy vampire story.
Gotta love it, right?
Yeah, we're gonna go back, because this is actually one of my earlier ones. 304. This is an old like silver golden age. That's Clayface.
I love Clayface. What a great character.
Um, God. This is, what is this? This is the 30th anniversary of Detective Comics.
Oh, wow.
And there in the corner deck, there's the first appearance of Batman. I wish I had that book. I do not.
Yeah, I'm sure we all do. And you
Yeah.
got Joker and the Penguin on there. Very cool.
Yeah. Then, like, you're talking about the detective stuff. In like around the 390s, you started seeing a lot of stuff done by like Neil Adams. He started doing the covers and some of the interiors. This stuff I think is fantastic. A lot of Gothic run through this. It was like all of a sudden Batman met Hammer horror films, which again I can't get enough of. So I bought a lot of these. And I don't know if people remember this character, but that's Batman and Enemy Ace, which is another old character.
Wow, I don't remember him.
He was one of those war characters that was,
That's a fantastic cover. That is so well drawn. Yeah, I love the colors on it too. That's great.
This one, I like this story. This is another one. This is kind of like this appeared in a couple of the Treasury editions and stuff. It's another great Neil Adams, great Batman. At this point too, they're backing up the stories with Batgirl, so gotta like that. Yeah, I've got a bunch of these old, as you can see.
That's very cool. Yeah, that is like frame worthy. That is really good. What issue number is that?
That is 412.
Wow, that's nice. Look at that.
Yeah, 413. Yeah, look at that. As I said, a lot of horror was kind of being mixed in with the books at this point. This stuff was really pretty good.
So that was what, about late 60s?
I think
early 70s.
It's early 70s.
Okay.
So, and there's it said too, you start mixing in different characters. So you got a couple in here. It was big. You got a 52-page spectacular, and you pay 25 cents for it. So
what a bargain.
Yeah, and you got a couple of backup stories as you see along the spine. It's kind of cool. This next cover I love. So. Don't you love that?
Yeah, that's great. Oh man.
So, and then we got Killer Puppets, which I have to say I have a fondness for Killer Puppets. That's a weird statement to make in itself, but like the old puppet series and stuff. There's just something creepy about puppets. And you get a couple more. Let me see. Oh, wait, we got this one.
Oh, look at that.
Isn't that great?
That is awesome. And these are all Neil Adams, right?
Well, now this one I don't think some of them are. Some of them mix in. There was a whole bunch of different people working at Novak. There was a couple of different guys worked on these, but I'll be honest, this to me is, the golden age of Batman to me. I know, this, because this is what I grew up on, Yeah. So you get your fondness for this one. Look at that one.
Oh man, spook.
Yeah, you gotta love that. And then we got a couple more 100-page spectaculars, and got one last one, the 500th issue, where it had like all these other guys guest starred in, and a whole bunch of different artists and stuff worked on it. And it had one of those wraparound covers, so it kind of clears on.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
And I threw this one in because I just got this back from one of my brothers. So, but look at it. This is a whole 100-page spectacular. It's not a detective comic. It's Batman. Because these were sometimes separate. Like they just did 100-page spectaculars. It was just like all Superboy, all Batman. And this was the all Batman one. And I love the fact that you got Wildcat on the cover.
Yeah, Wildcat's a great character. Yeah.
Yeah. So, as I said, just a great. I think some of those early detective books are just so much fun.
Yeah, I need to start getting some of those because most of my experience with Detective Comics is more of the newer things. Like, so I'll show some stuff here. So, We talked in a very recent episode specifically about DC, about how there's so many different books going on and they're so expensive to be buying
Yeah.
single copies that a lot of us, wait for the trades to come out, the novels. And so I started doing that when the New 52 launched. I started reading a lot more DC, more than I ever had. So I really enjoyed for a couple of years the Detective Comics. So this is volume 1 right here.
Ah, nice.
And this is the Tony Daniel run, and I'm trying to think of who did some of the artwork on here. Tony Daniel. Okay, so he wrote and penciled with Ryan Wynn and Rob Hunter and Sandu Floria doing the inks. But man, some of the artwork in this, I mean, just look at this stuff.
Yeah.
I really think that the modern Batman stuff is pretty spectacular, whether it's just the regular Batman book or Batman and Robin or the Detective Comics. I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
And they've really kind of gone full force on the kind of like the Gothic side of things, which I don't have an issue with either. And they have made the villains of Batman very, very menacing. So whether it's Joker or Penguin or Bane or Scarecrow, I think a lot of the newer books, really, really have made, because, if you go back in time on a lot of the Batman books, some of the classic villains were kind of a joke back then, right?
Yeah.
To an extent, kind of silly, right? So they've really like upped the ante as far as making the villains pretty sinister. So this is volume 2. So again, this is all New 52. So this is like within the last decade. And this is a hardcover here. Let's see if I can pull some. And a lot of action in these. I mean, look in here, you got the Black Mask and the Mad Hatter, and you got the villains going at it against each other. I love Batman's rogues gallery. I mean, he's got, probably next to Spider-Man, I think that Batman has the best list of villains out of any of them. I mean, just look at this, just mayhem. Great artwork.
And I like the fact that they are so psychotic. I mean, that's like,
right? Yeah.
These are scary dudes. They're not goofy.
Every one of them.
That early issue of Detectives where you see Clayface that I showed before, Clayface was kind of a goofy character in that, it's like, but as you start reading, these books got really kind of, especially now, they're really dark. They're not
Yeah. And, like characters like now, like the Joker, Clayface, Bane, Killer Croc, Scarecrow. These are some bad dudes now. I mean, it's this really. So this is number 3. So this is more about they did this whole arc with the Penguin, but Joker's in here too. See if I can pull up a couple of. And very dark. And every scene in all these books shows Gotham as dark, rainy. It always looks like it's at night. This is not happy stuff by any means. And
who would really want to live there, though? You ever think about that?
Why would any of these people stay there, right? I mean, that's
Yeah, I go to Metropolis. Superman's got a nice town.
Speaking of Clayface, there he is.
Yeah, sweet.
All right. So a lot of good stuff in the New 52, I think. And then, Bill and I have shown these before, but picked up the Detective Comics issue number 1000. All right. I actually got 2 of them. I mean, so many great covers. I could have bought them all, but they were like $10 each. You can only buy so many. So I got this one, which this is, I believe, a Jim Lee cover. All right, yeah. Classic. And of course, you got a lot of my favorite villains on here. You got the Riddler, you got Killer Croc, Joker, Scarecrow in the bottom. And then I also picked up this one, which is a Bernie Wrightson cover. Yeah, you can't beat that. This is great. I actually would like to frame this.
Yeah, I got Bernie Wrightson. Rest in peace. What an amazing artist.
Yeah. So, a lot of good stuff here. Like I said, Kirk and I have only kind of scratched the surface. How many issues in total did they print of this Detective Comics? I mean, what are they up to now?
Well, it's over 1,000. So, it's when you think about it, what a run to put together, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, because the 1,000 came out, that's what, a year ago already?
Yeah. Yeah. So you're talking at least 1,012. And it's hard now because sometimes they'll I don't know about detectives because I don't follow that book really, but sometimes they'll put 1 or 2 books out in a month sometimes if the book is popular enough, and And when you're kicking out that, I mean, it's a lot of books.
It is. Yeah. And again, we've touched on this before, but if you are a big Batman fan and you just have to have everything that's
Oh,
being published every month, you got at least, right, 3 books at minimum, at least,
oh,
if not more than that, right?
I would say
Yeah.
with all the miniseries, all the prestige, and if you're getting any of the supporting character books, I mean, Nightwing, Robin, Batgirl. I mean, it starts. You're gonna go broke.
Yeah.
You know.
Very quickly.
So,
Yeah. So, but good stuff. I dig it. Like I said, these Detective Comics books bring and show a different side to the Batman character, which is a very important part of the character, I think. And that's why I always really enjoyed these stories, possibly at times even more than just a regular Batman comic, because they really kind of hone in on that detective nature of him. And if you like, mysteries and intricate storylines, this is where you got to go.
yeah.
I think so. Cool. Well, there you have it. Detective Comics. A little bit of a kind of a brief look at some of the greatness that has been going on in that book for a lot of years.
Yeah.
So guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Join us again next time for another fun-filled episode of Comic Book Love. With myself, Wild Bill, and Kirk. We are Comic Book Geezers, so have a good rest of the weekend, everybody. We'll see you real soon. Kirk, we'll see you on the flip side, and
All right, my friend.
enjoy. Take care, everybody. Be safe, be well, and we'll see you soon.